Hello everyone! Thank you for tuning in to the Wasabi Aquarium channel. Today's video is part 1 of building out an aqua terrarium with a beautiful waterfall scenery. Now I know that this may be a surprise to some of you, as we have mostly been covering technique and instructions on building out plant aquariums, so you may think that this video is in a bit of a different genre. However, plant aquariums and aqua terrariums have a lot in common, especially in terms of technique, knowledge, the overall procedures of building out your layout. So, for a change, we're going to take you through a detailed series of videos of actually building out an aqua terrarium from scratch. I believe this video should be helpful for beginners who are looking to build their first aquarium, anyone who is looking for something green and visually pleasant to add to their house, or anyone who is into either aquariums or aqua terrariums and has had an interest in the other. There are several noticeable differences between plant aquariums and aqua terrariums, such as the simplicity of the equipment, the amount of time it takes to build a layout, and the overall workload when going through maintenance procedures. In a way, aqua terrariums are much more beginner friendly, and I would consider trying aqua terrariums first a good way of entering the aquarium world. In this first episode of the Aqua Terrarium series, we will break down the type of equipment and materials needed to start off, as well as how to choose the right ones that fit your vision. As mentioned earlier, we will label these videos episode 1, 2, 3, and so on, so that at the end of the series, you will have detailed knowledge on the entire process of building out an aqua terrarium. So please make sure to stay tuned until the very end of the series. So first things first, we will go through the equipment and materials that we will be using today. For the aquarium or tank itself, we will be using ADA's System TERRA 30. I personally really enjoy working with this aquarium, mainly for the following 3 reasons. First, its size, 30 cm width, 30 cm depth, and 40 cm height is not too big and not too small, and it feels just right. 30 cm tanks are a very popular size for plant aquariums as well, and even with an additional 10 cm in height, it can still usually fit in small spaces where you would normally place a 30 cm cubic aquarium. This aquarium is also not too heavy, so it can also be placed on various tables, shelves, or other interior objects inside your house where it visually suits best, although of course a proper aquarium stand is preferred. The second point that I like about this tank is that it has all the necessary features by default. Although we cannot see it from the front, there is a filter attached to the back of the tank, so you do not have to buy an additional filter system. This comes in very handy, especially for beginners who are going through their first aqua terrarium, especially because setting up filter systems are not too easy, so it is actually more helpful than you think when the system automatically turns on once you plug it in. It does also look nice with the water constantly flowing from the top of the tank. The third unique but very helpful trait about this tank are these parts sticking out from the back wall. This is known as the moss wall, where you can create a wall of moss by placing these wabikusa mats or moss mats that already have moss planted on them. It's just super easy and visually very nice. Of course, you can create your own wall of moss from the mat by arranging your selection of moss, but you can also find a variety of series of these mats of moss already selling at aquarium shops packaged like this, and all you need to do is just lay them out by stabbing them onto the wall at the back of the tank, and you'll have a beautiful green wall of moss in no time and no effort. I always think that this tank overall is very well thought out, and I would like to thank the designer at ADA who invented this tank. So overall, the biggest trait about this tank is that it makes the building out process very easy just by choosing this specific tank. Next, the light at the top is the AquaSky G301 by ADA. If you cannot find this specific light at your nearest store, almost any light with a width of 30 centimeters should just be fine, so look into various options and see which one you like best or feel would work best for your aquarium. Next, let's get into the materials that we're going to lay out inside the Aqua Terrarium. The main theme of this Aqua Terrarium is the waterfall, so we've gone ahead and chosen stones instead of driftwood. Driftwood is actually the more common choice when it comes to Aqua Terrariums, but for this time around, I felt stones would fit better, and I was also generally interested in building out an Aqua Terrarium with stones. I've chosen Sansui stones from ADA, and I picked these stones mainly because of its bumpy surface, which has a tendency of capturing water. Water flows into these small bumps on the surface of these stones, which then attracts moss and other plants, which is a good match for Aqua Terrariums in general. I've intentionally chosen this pretty big 30 centimeter tall stone as I thought it would be cool to have something visually strong in the middle with smaller stones surrounding it. For the base sand, I've chosen the La Plata sand from ADA. As you can see, the biggest trait about this sand is that it is very bright in color, almost pure white. As we saw, the Sansui stones that we'll be using for this layout are dark in color, so I decided to use this La Plata sand for contrast, as well as to prevent the overall layout to look too dark. Especially for this aquarium, since we actually only have about 20 centimeters of base if we exclude the filter system at the back, I wanted to use a color that makes it look as spacious as possible, and I thought the La Plata sand was the perfect fit. For the Wabikusa mat or the moss mat, we're going to be using pre-packaged ones that are available like this, and we're just going to attach them to the back wall of the tank. Out of the available Wabikusa mats, I've chosen the Vesicularia montagnei, also known as Christmas moss, and Selaginella uncinata, often known as peacock moss. For the plant aquariums, there are several popular choices such as willow moss or South American willow moss, but for aqua terrariums, it's important for the moss to be very adaptive to environment on land or out of the water. Thus, I would choose moss such as these Christmas moss or peacock moss rather than the ones that we often have in mind for plant aquariums. So that is it for the layout materials we are going to be using for this aqua terrarium. Overall, the layout and necessary materials and equipment is very simple. All you need is the tank, light, stones, sand, and moss, so it's very easy to build out, and the structure is simple as well. This would be a very easy choice for anyone who is interested in placing natural green objects as part of their interior design. I hope you liked today's video. Today we discussed in detail an introduction to aqua terrariums in general and prepared the necessary layout materials and equipment that we will actually be building out in the next episode. Interestingly, this time around May to June is when a lot of people start to build aqua terrariums, mainly because it's starting to get hot and people want to have something soothing that cools them down in their homes. Of course, plant aquariums are also a popular choice, but the visual scenery of nature and the sound of water flowing and dropping from the top seems to be a more popular choice in terms of something cool for the summer. Although we haven't gotten into the actual build out yet, you will soon see that the aqua terrariums have much more depth and feel more 3D than plant aquariums, especially because the entire scene is not inside the water and you can prioritize the visual aspect of the layout while plant aquariums require the layout to have more technicalities due to the environment being completely inside the water. For this series, we've used a 30 by 30 by 40 centimeter aquarium, which is perfect for anywhere inside your house, no matter the size, and it's also very easy to build out. For people who have solely been into plant aquariums, I personally feel that aqua terrariums are a complete different experience, so it could be a good option for your second tank or just to try something new. In the next video of this series, we will be actually building out the layout for the aqua terrarium in detail, so please make sure to stay tuned for the next episode on the Wasabi Aquarium channel. If you have any additional questions or comments regarding any of the content that we discussed today, please feel free to write them in the comment section below. Although we may not be able to answer each question individually, we will create additional content based on the popular questions that we receive. If you found today's video helpful, please leave a comment, like, and make sure to subscribe to the Wasabi Aquarium channel. We will continue to create helpful content for aquarium lovers, so your continuous support would be very much appreciated. That's it for today. Thank you and goodbye.